Welcome to this edition of AFMC.
I'll tell you how I got better. I'm
Glad to be here.
But a mission to
Delivery
improve.
of Well, I think that we're going to talk about everybody's.
Arkansas is the second highest prescriber.
Welcome to AFMC TV. I'm Robin Ledbetter. Thank you for joining us. Today I have with me Hanna Kiefer, and she is a nurse practitioner specializing in family medicine at Mercy Clinic Free Ferry in Fort Smith. Hanna, thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So temperatures are hot. We are in the height of summer here. We're talking about heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Tell me what the differences are.
So with heat exhaustion, you can kind of think of it as, kind of the beginning of, okay, what are the warnings that we look for? So heat exhaustion, we really want to watch for those signs of, okay, we're sweating quite a bit. We're still having could have some of that cool, clammy skin, getting a little more fatigued. With heat stroke and, more severe cases, we're looking at, okay, are we still sweating? Is our body still able to cool off? Or are we getting to the point where we are overheated and our body cannot cool us down anymore? With heat stroke, more severe, we're looking at, okay, this is emergent, where we do want to have that patient evaluated immediately, because again, our body's not able to cool at that point. So we want to make sure that they're not having any failure as far as organs or, neurological problems.
So heat stroke, very serious. You should immediately go to the ER, correct?
Yes.
Or is heat exhaustion just as serious?
So heat exhaustion is serious as well, but you want to check for, again, is the person you're around able to answer those questions? Are we able to get them to, with heat exhaustion, you can try by getting them to a cool place, giving them some water, just slow sips of water. Are we able to cool back down? If we're not having that improvement, in a 20, 30 minute period, then we need to look at, emergency visit. Heat stroke, yes, medical emergency. They need to be seen. They need more immediate attention.
And are certain groups, kids, seniors, even athletes, more at risk?
So definitely kids and older adults, are more at risk. With kids even, they're not able to tell us always. They also don't sweat like adults do. So, we want to make sure they definitely stay hydrated when they're out in the sun. Of course, they get to playing and they don't, think, okay, there's changes going on. With the little ones, you also want to watch and make sure that they're not, becoming more quiet and less hyperactive, more tired, things like that. With the older adults, though, you don't have that response again, like, you or I do. So those two populations are, need to be on alert for a little bit more and make sure they're in cool areas, staying hydrated, taking breaks.
And how much water should the average person drink on a hot day? Is it different for everyone?
So males and females are different. On an average day, a woman, 2.7 liters, we're talking liters here, and then a male about 3.7. But again, on a hot day where we're sweating quite a bit, we're putting out that fluid, we want to replace it. So you could even increase that by about a liter per adult, per female and male. But part of that is not just drinking water. You want to replace your electrolytes. So sodium and potassium. And we want to, especially if we're putting it out, we want to put it back in, but we want to put the good fluid back in too, not just water.
So are sports drinks, electrolyte drinks better than water in the heat?
They are, but, with those, of course, as people know, you need to watch the sugar intake. Gatorade, Powerades, those aren't always the best to go to because they do have high sugar content. Obviously, you're still putting some of those electrolytes back in, sodium, things like that. But even the, liquid IV is a good one where we're not just putting a whole bunch of sugar back in, but we're getting those electrolytes, easy little packets you can carry with you, put it in your water and drink that. But especially when you're excessively sweating throughout the day. Yes.
And what are some of the best ways to prevent heat-related illnesses when spending time outside?
So with preventing heat-related illnesses, you definitely want to make sure you're taking those breaks in the shade. You want to carry water with you, some type of, rehydration with you at all times. Take those little sips. The peak hours throughout the day, especially right now, 11 to 4. So if we can avoid those activities and wait till early morning, evening, even when we're mowing the lawn, things like that, try to avoid those high peak hours when we're going to be sweating quite a bit. But I think the main thing is breaks, water, even if we're not thirsty, to really prevent the heat exhaustion and heat illnesses.
Is it possible to overhydrate or drink too much water?
Yes. So that's why we talk about electrolytes, because, if you get too much water, we're diluting too much. So you can cause hyponatremia, which is low sodium. So that can be dangerous as well. So you really want to get balance. As far as looking at how much we're urinating as well, you don't want to put in, more than you're putting out and then over dilute. So yes, you can overhydrate. That is something to be cautious with as well.
And what's some simple advice do you give patients to stay safe in extreme heat?
So I do tell my patients, right now, especially with all the outdoor activities, is, sunscreen, sun protection as far as light colors, avoid the dark colors. Everyone loves their water bottles right now. So I tell them fill their water bottle up the first thing of the day. As soon as you hit that empty mark, go fill it up again. Just keep it on hand. That reminds you to take those frequent drinks. And then again, just finding shade. Something as simple as that can help quite a bit.
So could you show or describe what someone should do if they suspect heat exhaustion in a friend or family member? Should they take them to their PCP? I mean, what are some things that they immediately even could do?
So immediately you can move that person to, again, a cool shaded area wherever you can find. You can even use some cold rags, drips of cold water, and then, take smaller sips, but try to start hydrating them. Don't just, have them chug a whole liter of water, but, small sips, and making sure that they're not worsening in their symptoms as far as, worsening confusion or any neurological signs like that.
And there are common myths with heat exhaustion. And what are some that you hear that may be misconceptions?
Well, one of those, which, I think we kind of touched on is, people do think that you only get heat exhaustion when it's 110 outside. You can, really have problems and dehydrate yourself if we're outside. It's 80 degrees with humidity as high as it is in Arkansas. So you really have to be aware, although it may not be just blistering hot, you can still have that heat exhaustion in those lower temps, but high humidity. So it's all about, how how our bodies are excreting that and how much we're excreting versus replacing.
Well, Hanna, thank you for talking about this important information, valuable information for the community, but also for the healthcare community to understand the signs, and especially when they are many times the front line to people to educate and to be able to make sure that people know how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And that's it for this episode of AFMC TV. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.